Okay, so my second vlog. This vlog is going to be about the applications process and the phone interview. For me, I was a UK applicant and I went through Yummy Jobs. So for me, obviously this is my specific applications process. If you're from another country, it may vary. And obviously year on year they do change certain aspects of the applications process, the questions they ask you, how long it takes, how many people they take, etc, etc. So don't take what I say as absolutely 100% true, because it might not be for you. But obviously I used blogs and vlogs to prepare for my phone interview and I found them really helpful, so I'm hoping that this can at least help you have a guide to the applications process. My application started on January the 17th of this year, and I sent my application in through the Yummy Jobs website. From then on it was a long wait until I think April. Got an email from Yummy Jobs saying you're invited to a phone interview. My phone interview was 3 months to the date that I sent in my application, so it took me 3 months to get from sending in my application to doing my phone interview. Then I had to wait a little bit longer to find out the results of the phone interview. That was a very nerve-wracking time. That was, for my application, the time when they got rid of the most people, I think, who they wanted to say no to. Then they sent out emails about the face-to-face interview in May, and I got the face-to-face interview, which I had on the 4th of June, and on the 15th of June I found out that I was going to Disney World. So it took me just a tiny bit short of 6 months for my application process. So that's quite a long time. Both my ICPs were a lot shorter. But like I said, it varies year on year. So phone interview. Personally, I think this is the most nerve-wracking part of the whole applications process. It's the one chance you have got to bowl them over. You're talking to Yummy Jobs, you're not talking to Disney straight. So you have to really impress them, and you have to sound very confident and happy in your voice, which can be very difficult when you're feeling really, really nervous. So I'm going to run over the kind of questions you might be asked and the kind of questions that I was asked, and then we'll talk a little bit about some tips, hints and tips for the phone interview. So standard interview questions I got asked were things like, tell me about yourself, what motivates you, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, tell me 3 words to describe yourself, that kind of thing. Then they almost always ask you sort of, when have you dealt with a difficult customer, when have you turned a negative situation into a positive situation. So that's a really good one to prepare for, because you'll get it in some sort of, you know, reinvention of that question, but you will get it. And the obvious question they do ask you is, why work at Disney? Why do the CRP? That is another question that really needs thinking about. I think the answer to that question is always quite a personal one. For me, it was about new challenges. I'd already done the summer program. I wanted to challenge myself by doing the year program. I wanted to learn new skills, and I wanted to, most of all, I wanted to share my culture with the guests, because that's what I always did on the summer program. I spent the vast majority of my time talking about England, talking about Britain, talking about Europe. So I really thought the idea of actually going out for a whole year with the purpose to talk about England would be great, so that was something I talked about. They also often ask you a question about your hometown or about the UK, because, like I said, this is a cultural representative programme. They want to know that you've thought about your hometown, your home city, and also the country you're living in. So for me, I made a lovely diagram, spider diagram, like this one. It's all colourful, so there's colours on it. Bristol in the middle, and then put loads of sort of things around it that I could talk about. So things I wrote on here include sort of geography, population, history, various famous people that are from Bristol, and all sorts of things. From this piece of paper, I then chose maybe 2 or 3 things I could mention in the interview if they asked me about Bristol, which they did. So I talked about sort of how many people live here, where it is, and a little bit about the sort of background to do with engineering and things, and Concorde, because Concorde originated from here, so that was a really good thing to talk about. I also talked very briefly about the types of food and drink that's from this part of England as well, so cheddar cheese. The West Country is famous for like pasties and various other things, cider, that kind of stuff. So that's what I talked about. What else? Oh yeah, other questions that they may ask you are a little bit more obscure. Some people did get my phone. Some people did get asked sort of who is your favourite character, which character would you say you're most like and why. I didn't get asked that question. A little bit gutted that I didn't, because I had a really good answer for it. But you know, to be prepared, that is something they may ask you. So just to run over that, to make it really simple: difficult customers, negative situations to positive situations, about telling them about you, why work at Disney, hometown, home country, characters. That is pretty much what I gathered I may be asked. Like I said, you may not be asked those questions, you may be asked other questions next year or whenever you apply, but as a guide, that's the kind of thing I got asked. The next thing I was going to say was a few little hints and tips to do with the interview itself. You choose a slot that they phone you, so you're waiting for the phone call, you're expecting it. I would say get yourself in a good place where you're going to have good signal. Make sure your phone's all charged up if you're using a mobile phone. That would be a classic mistake. And make sure you've got sort of any notes, anything you've written down in front of you, so you don't have to panic. I did have some notes in front of me, looked a little bit like the ones that I was just reading then, just because I was worried if my mind went blank, I would have something to look at, something to jog my memory. So that's always a good thing to have. If you think you're freezing, you think, oh, I forgot what I was saying, it's always good to have a little thing to jog your memory on there. What else can I say about the interview? Keep calm, speak slowly, breathe, and also a really good thing is to have a glass of water right by you, just in case you get a really dry mouth. I know I do when I get a little bit nervous, so that's a good thing to have as well. The most important thing I can say is that if you lose your train of thought, you mess up your words, you find yourself saying a really ridiculous sentence that doesn't make sense, take a half a second break, breathe, and then carry on. Don't just freeze up and clam up and just go, because that won't be as good. You know, if you recover from the mistake, they may never notice, and they know you're going to be nervous, and they are so friendly. Yummy Jobs are lovely, lovely people that work there, and they will make you feel really relaxed in your phone interview. So don't stress about it, don't worry about it. Just continue. If you think you've made a little bit of a mistake or you've stumbled on your words, just keep going. They will ask you in the interview as well about piercings and tattoos. I don't have a problem with that because I have my ears pierced, but if you do have tattoos, you may have to talk about them in your phone interview as well. And they also give you a chance to talk to them about any questions you may have. This is probably not the best time to bombard them with every question about the CRP you've got in your mind. But if there's any key questions you want to know, anything about sort of times or dates, for example, I asked them, do you know when the face-to-face interviews will be held? Because I was going on holiday and I wanted to see if they were going to clash. So they don't mind if you ask questions like that. Yummy Jobs never mind if you email them. I'm not affiliated with Yummy Jobs in any way. I just know that they're really helpful people, so feel free to email them if you do have questions later after the phone interview. I think that's pretty much it for the phone interview. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on the video or post on my blog, which I'm sure is linked somewhere, or you may have come from it to get here. And my next vlog is going to be about the face-to-face interview.